I am just going to jump in. Just remember that. Health center. I do want to remind you all that a check-in at the health center on opening day is something that I would like all of you to do. If you do have any prescription medication, it needs to be in the original container. So bring that, head up to the health center, which is right near our check-in spots and our check-in tables. Meet our health officers. Have any just conversation with them with anything that you need them to know. We also want to make sure that you know there are other over-the-counter medications at the health center, so we're happy to distribute that, also indicated on your health form. So please make sure you have completed your health form and hit submit. We do read those. We do want those here in the next couple of days if you have not done so already, because we start reviewing those, making sure that we're giving the care that we need to give you for your camper. So please make sure that they're submitted. Any additional information that you feel is prevalent, please email me and let me know. I share that with Lois, the division leader, the counselors and the health officers. That way we've got all the information that we need in order to make your campers trip to camp safe and following all your protocols. We are going to have lots of fun. This is just a great little slide. There's lots of things to do, lots of arts and crafts. We've got a climbing tower and a ropes course. We're right on the lake, so lots of swimming and paddleboarding. We do have some traditions. Down in the bottom corner is our candle ceremony for our moon ceremony. So we do welcome all our first-year campers with a special moon, and then our 5th-year campers get recognized, as do our 10th years. And if you have been coming back year after year for lots of years now, and you are in the Niji division, you're probably out for your 5th and maybe even your 10th year. So that's always a fun evening. Then I'm going to zip through. These are all my slides for all my other programs, but we want to stop here on our Royal. So our Royal cabin is heading off to our Royal. They don't tend to have a very original name, unfortunately, but we have been going to our Royal since the boys' camp has actually been going since the 30s. Girls' camp started the tradition and headed up in 1993. And I was lucky enough to be one of the counselors selected to go. It is a bit of a drive up to Copper Harbour. We drive for about 8 hours or so on the bus. We stay the night in Copper Harbour and then head over on the boat to to Rock Harbour rather, on the island, and then they hike about 110 miles. Gina, do you want to jump in and just give a little overview of our
Good
Royal
trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So preparation before we get there at camp, we get everything ready, we pack, we go on a practice, we call it a shakedown here at camp. It's just a smaller, more condensed overnight trip for them to test their equipment, their shoes, the stoves, everything that they'll be relying on the island for 2 weeks. And then that way we know if there's anything that needs to be switched out. And yeah, like Amanda said, we head up, we stay the night before. Oh, I've just got kicked out of the Zoom.
I see you.
Oh, here you go. There you go. It minimized. Yeah, we stay the night before, get the ferry, go on over. And then they'll start the 110 miles is done over 12 days of hiking. It could go from the smallest day. I think the first day for one group would be 2.7 miles. Both groups will do it in alternative orders. So the group who does 2.7 first, the last day for the other group will be 2.7, and then their longest day will be about 11 miles. Across the way at the halfway point, the two groups will cross each other, which is always a really fun day. And it's noted on their itinerary, so they look forward to seeing each other. Then also, I think day 4 and day 5, depending on the group, there's you make it to the other end of the island, and it's the Wendigo spot, and it's also it's got a little cute store, which obviously you haven't had any like candy or anything for a few days, so you could get yourself a little treat. And then yeah, you do the same in reverse on the way back. You get the ferry across when you're finished, stay the night in Copper Harbour, and then the 8 hours back to camp, where everyone's so excited to see you. Haven't seen you for 2 weeks, and you jump into a sea of hugs.
Awesome. That is my favorite day. I just want to throw out, actually, anytime a trip comes back from their extended trip away from camp out in the field, that bus comes down the driveway with everybody on it. The bus stops and everyone gets out, and it's just so excited to see everyone. You know, you all feel just so accomplished and successful, and you're dirty and strong and excited to tell us all about your stories and the trip overall. So they are my fun days. So Lois, do you want to jump on and just give us a little outline of Killarney, which is our next slide here?
Totally. So Killarney is personally one of my favorite trips. All the Niji trips are amazing, but Killarney is super unique. You spend 2 weeks paddling and portaging through Killarney Provincial Park in Canada. And portaging is when you take these red canoes you see here, and as a team, you put it up onto someone's shoulders, and then you walk through all these beautiful trails. And the thing I enjoy about this trip the most, I think, is that it's much more of all the trips are team oriented, but this one specifically, you're working as a team to get all of your gear and the canoes through the park. There are some highlights. There's Lake Topaz on one of the hardest days of the trip. The campers have the opportunity to stop at this lake, this beautiful blue lake, once they've done the hardest part, sit there, have lunch, go swimming. And it's absolutely beautiful. There's also Silver Peak, which is like a day hike that the campers can do to go up and see the whole park. And then there also is kind of a little store halfway where sometimes campers can stop to get candy or a soda or something like that. But it's definitely a super rewarding trip. There's lots of swimming. The days are kind of up to the cabin on how you want to go through them, but regularly you'll get to the campsite between lunch and dinner and spend a lot of time swimming, reading, hanging out. And it is an awesome trip in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and I'm very jealous of everyone who gets to go this summer.
So just in regards to both these trips, they are quite remote. We have selected and trained a number of staff in our wilderness first responder certification. It is an 8-day intense first aid course for the wilderness. So each of these cabins will have a staff member that does have that certification. And then we also have a spot. So Gina, I'm putting you on the spot to tell us about the spots.
Yeah, no, I grabbed it because I remembered after my spiel I could have mentioned it. So this is our GPS device, and essentially it allows the group, they can send us a check-in every night, and it will be Lois, myself, and Amanda will receive a text directly to our phone and email that will just be like, hey, we checked in. That also allows us to see their location. Now, sometimes they don't check in, and we don't fear too much because no news is good news.
Correct.
And so if I don't hear from them for 2 days, it's not, sometimes they get so excited, they just want to eat and they do their little evening activities and go to bed. That's fine. But in need of a situation that they need to get word to us, these are actually updated devices. The last 2 years, they actually allow them to send texts to us. And that way we know what they need, if they needed help. And then in a very dire situation, there's also an SOS function, which, in a life-threatening situation, would send emergency personnel to their exact location.
Awesome. So each cabin will have a training on that, and we'll have one of those with them. We have got a lot of resources over the years. I feel like I've been doing this for several years, over 20. I feel like I have quite the connections with some park rangers, both in Arroyal and Killarney. We also use an entry and exit point in the Killarney Provincial Park. It's Widgewa Lodge, which is where we collect our permit. They've been fantastic over the years to help us if we need to. So I have plenty of resources, and we maneuver very quickly from here if anything does happen. So I just want, and if anything is happening out in the field with your child, I will make sure I give you a call so that you are aware and updated with all that information as well. So you can be part of the conversation and part of some of the decisions if we need to make them. In regards to cabin groups, we do have a pretty full cabin. Our Royal, we have 15. So we're going to split that into 2 groups. So one of 8 and one of 7. And then Killarney, we have 17 campers. So we'll be splitting into 3 cabins. With the cabin groups, I want to make sure we do honor a cabin request. So if you have not filled out your camper confidential yet, that is where we get those cabin requests. So please make sure. And I know camp friends are the best friends, and I know you all want to be together from last year, but we do have to follow the rules of some of the parks. Killarney can only have a maximum of 9, and that includes 2 counselors. So that just kind of changes the group dynamic a little bit. But good friends are new and old. So you might have some friends from last year, and you might have some new friends from other cabins or new to us in your cabin. With Killarney, just really quickly, if you don't have a passport, you can come with a birth certificate. Because we're in a youth group and we're all in the one group together. I have a letter that I write for the border crossing, and a passport will, if you don't have a passport, a birth certificate will be fine. I just know they're hard to get and they take so long to get now. So a little bit more about packing lists. We do have some really good resources on our website. There's a detailed packing list for both of these programs that you can find on our website. The big thing I want to make sure is you have good rain gear. The chances of it raining in the 12 days or 14 days you're offsite is pretty high. So make sure you have really good rain jacket and rain pants. Also, I just threw in there, but leave your phones at home. I think we all know that, but you know, that's one of the beauties of our camp, I think, is that we are unplugged, and you really do get to have those really formidable relationships without the devices. A couple of other things, a water bottle is essential. I think we even insist on taking 2 to both Killarney and our Royal, so that you're always hydrated. Chapel Whites is another thing that kind of gets a little confusing. We do have a really neat little chapel service. It's on Sundays. It might be the last Sunday for you guys, because I think you go before the first chapel service. We sit in a really nice spot at camp. As one of the oldest cabins in camp, you might actually be chosen to lead the chapel service. And really it's just a nice reflection in regards, like we try and work around a theme of our core values, the Y core values of caring, honesty, respect, responsibility, inclusion, teamwork, and environmental stewardship. So the cabin group that's selected will pick one of those themes and do some personal reflection. We might have a song that's related to that theme. So traditionally, we've always worn white, and I think it's just neat to just have that, continue that tradition. Another thing I want to make sure that you bring is something crazy to wear. We do have some casino nights and some evening activities, and if you've got something that is just flary and polka dotty or whatever you kind of think is kind of fun that you may not necessarily wear in your normal everyday life, you can wear it at camp and we will all love it. So pack some crazy matchy fun things. Closed-toed shoes. Of course, when you're hiking in the field, both trips, we are asking you to bring good sturdy hiking boots with ankle support. Our Royal, obviously, you're hiking 100+ miles, so that's essential. So make sure you're breaking them in as well. So you've worn them a couple of times, or a lot actually, before you arrive. But we ask that you also take them to Killarney as well. There are some portages that are kind of treacherous, kind of challenging. There's a little elevation and some tree roots and things, and we want to have the best support as you possibly can while you're carrying a canoe. So make sure you've packed those for Killarney as well. And then just some resources. We've got a really neat website. On the top right-hand corner up here, it says Parent Resources. If you click on that, the next spot you'll get is this welcome to parent resources. There's these 6 boxes and then a whole bunch more of information that you can take a look at. Food, I just wanted to shout out an old photo, sorry about that, but we have a new food service director and Doug is doing a fantastic job. We have been very, very impressed. We're very, very excited for meals. We do have a very camper-friendly meal, but he's just adding lots of fruit and vegetables and lots of variety. So be prepared to be, it's amazing. A salad bar will still be offered at lunch and dinner. We want to cater as best we can to allergies and any challenges with your diet. So please give me an email if you do have anything that we kind of want to need to know in regards to cooking. So let us know if you've got any diet needs beforehand so we can make sure you're on the list and we've catered for you. Communication. Again, we're using Bunk 1. If you were with us last year, I hope that you enjoyed it. It was really good feedback. It's just we give you all that information on the website. You can log on. There is a free photo gallery. Of course, the first things they want you to buy are in the first list. But if you scroll down, there is a just free photo gallery. And we've got a photographer who is here from Mexico, and she is already starting to take some really great photos. So jump on. We're going to, and Bunk 1 also, you can email in. There is a fee for that. You can email in. It comes into us twice a day. We get a bulk delivery, and then we have our office manager give them to your camper in their mailboxes. There is this year, there was last year too, but this year we're really emphasizing it and making sure that you know. But there's a bunk reply. Again, it is a bit of a fee, but you can add a sheet that then the camper can write on and send back to you. So that's a good way of you getting, some letters from your camper, but also just the traditional writing letters home is also a good way of getting an update from your camper. And then our division leaders, Lois is going to email you regularly before the trip and certainly after the trip with a photo of them all back and successfully completed their trip. So look out for an email from her. And then in the meantime, let us know if you have any questions whatsoever. And we are happy to answer them. So I wanted to give you a quick look at the schedule. So here, Explorers will be leaving on the 23rd. So this is first session. So that first Friday, you guys all check in on the 19th. We'll make sure everyone's ready to go and packed up and good to go. And the bus will leave at 8 o'clock on the 23rd. And then our Royal, you've got a little bit more of you get to do a Super Saturday here and then a chapel. And then our Royal leaves on Monday morning, the 26th. So again, you'll have that shakedown that Gina mentioned. And we'll do some orientation with you all as campers as well. We've got a nice area. It's called our Trip Shack, where we'll lay out the map. We'll show you the itinerary. We'll answer all your questions as well. And then the big return. So February 7th is when the Explorers get back. And then our Royal get back on the 10th, July 10th. Did I say February? No. Yeah, I meant July, July 7th. And then our Royal July 10th. Now, a little tidbit for parents. The bus for the Explorers will go up and pick them up on the 6th. So the bus leaves here, stays the night, picks them up super early, and then comes back on the 7th. So if you want a package or letters or fun things to go up on the bus, it has to be here by the 5th. So we can pack the bus ready to go on the Thursday. So same with our Royal, the bus will go up on the 9th. So if you want to send up packages or mail or whatever you would like to send your camper on the bus, it's always fun to get mail on the bus. That's why I'm kind of mentioning it. Make sure it's here by the 8th because the bus does leave pretty early on the 9th. Second session, if we've got anyone from second session, it's a little bit different. Explorers leave straight out of the gate. This is a little bit of a challenge to get permits every year. It was not ideal to go on the Tuesday after you arrive on Sunday, but we think we can do it and prep you and get you ready. So you'll head up on Thursday, the 18th of July, and then you'll be back on the 1st. So again, packages need to be here by the 30th. Well, it would be the 29th for that to be included on the bus. And then our Royal, let's look at that. Our Royal, you guys leave on the 20th, second session. and you'll be coming back on the 3rd. So keep those dates. We'll also get you at check-in an info sheet, and that'll have all that information as well. So this is kind of our spot. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them if we haven't already. Here's my email. Please feel free to email me for any question that you might have. And I've popped up Lois's email as well. So any questions at this point? If you do, just jump on in and unmute and let me hear them.
All right, I have a couple questions. My daughter's in the Iowa Royal group.
Okay, Mr. Adams, what do you got?
All right, so a couple things. Thinking about pack loading. Obviously, I can weigh everything that she's bringing. She'll have her proportionate share of food and other general gear like the tents.
Yep.
Do you have any idea? Well, how does the food work? I mean, we've done packing together, Caroline and I, but I've never done anything close to this long. So do they bring all the food with them for the whole trip, or do they resupply, or how's that work?
Yeah, that is a great question. We use backpacker pantry dehydrated food specifically for the wilderness. We do proportion it out, so we have it all laid out. And then our campers will go down to our trip house and load up their packs with their portion of the food and spread it out over the. So we provide the group equipment, which includes the food, the stoves, the fuel, and the tents. And that is separated out amongst everybody in that cabin group.
Do you have any idea how much of that common stuff, including the dehydrated food, weighs?
Yeah. It will vary according to the group size, but our Royal is traditionally 10. Lois or Gina, do you have an idea of the weight?
Campers tend to be about 45 to 50 pounds, right, Lois? And then counselors take the load on about 65 to 70.
I was going to say, how it usually works is you have the food split up by day, and you have, at least this is how most trips do it, is that each camper will take 1 day of the food, and the counselors will take 2 to 3 days of food. And then as you move throughout the trip, every night the food is redistributed, so everyone has a lighter pack. And already about 4 or 5 days into the trip, everyone's packs are lighter significantly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Yeah, because I was thinking about things like even some of the ultralight camp chairs. You know, we have a little REI stool, which is fine, but it's really nice putting your feet up in a camp chair. But of course, we haven't hiked this long, so it's just a different volume question and weight question. So
and we do have tents that are as light as we possibly can. We really work at getting light tents. We can't do anything about the food. And then we really work with our campers to make sure we're taking, no unnecessary additional weight. So we might share the soap. We might share toothpaste is a sharing. So
you're cutting off the handles of the toothbrushes to save a half a.
That's an idea. But I don't think we do that.
All right.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So then, as far as all the gear they're taking, there's no like pit stops or anything like that. So they're truly out in the wild for the full duration.
Yeah, we do. We've researched a number of ways to try and reload. It's just really hard. Our Royal does have a store at Wendigo. But there's no guarantee it's going to have what we need when we get there. So we can't take that. We've every year I try and I call the national park and I'm like, I'm going to send a supply, but there's no responsibility unless somebody is there. And I cannot risk it not arriving, arriving and getting eaten by an animal, and arriving after my group is gone. So we've stuck to what we've been doing. And then
Oh, that's totally
it's
fine. It's
yeah,
just,
it
yeah, I
seems to
understand.
work.
It's not like the AT where you're like mailing it to yourself ahead of time.
No,
Yeah.
no,
All right.
yeah,
All
but
right.
good
Very good. So
question.
maybe not the chair because that's a fair amount of
Mm,
weight.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd leave the chair.
It's only a pound, but
The
still.
chair can come to camp though and hang out before they leave on the trip.
It could. Yeah. With the hammock. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Oh, a hammock is another good thing to bring as well. Lots of kids like to put up their hammocks on downtime around their cabins here at camp. So
All right. All right. That's good to know. Good.
yeah. Well, thanks, Jeff.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there anyone on the call whose camper is with them that did our Royal last year? No? Just
No.
sometimes it's yes? No. It's sometimes fun to hear from a camper too, just their experience from their time. But I've done our Royal. I know Lois has, Gina has. I have not done Killarney Provincial Park. Back in my day when I was a counselor, we did Ranger Lakes, which is very, very similar, just in a different location in Southern Ontario. And then Lois, you did Explorers as a camper. Yeah. And Gina, you've booked permits for Killarney for the last 10 years. Yeah. Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, we're super excited. We've got 8 days until our first session comes. Our staff training is well and truly underway. We've got some fantastic staff here, lots of great returners. But this year we're really excited. We've got lots of internationals are back. So last year and the year before with COVID and restrictions and traveling and embassies not being open and what have you, we've had a lower number of internationals, but we are back. We have 14 counselors from, I think, 5 different countries joining us as cabin counselors this summer. Well, great. Please let me know if you have any other questions. We are here to answer them, and we are super excited and look forward to seeing your camper either in 8 days, or I think second session might be like 38 days. So yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you soon. All right.